much for having us today, everybody.
Let's just do it. Let's do it. We're going to talk to him after we do it.
Go. Seen a lot of hate, but it never fixed nothing. Seen a lot of hate, but it never changed nothing. Seen them bring the love and wash it all away. Only love does that. 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 Seen thousands with candles in their heads bowed. Every race, creed, and color in the peace crowd. Seen them bring the love and wash it all away. Only love does that. Only love does that. Only love does that. Only love does that. Only love does that.
Yes, love doesn't bind, it's kind but not nice. And it doesn't adhere to the rules, it breaks ice. And it never feels wrong, it can be right. It's buried deep in our souls and it gives light. So we brave the rain and walk through the snow. Let love flower grow and let it all show what the heart can really do. Cause love stands true. And I look in the people's eyes and let words break through.
Love does that.
It's a great
Only love does that.
It's a great
Only love does that. Only love does that.
And so, wake up, wake up, wake up everyone. We step outside and once the day is done, we just know that this is the place we need to be. So we hold hands, walk all towards the sea. We bathe in love, we let it wash over our souls and let it grow deep down. Cause deep down we know that we need each other. This is love, let it show. Love, let it show. Love, let it show.
Only love does that. Only love does that. Only love does that. Only love does that. And if you guys could clap along with us a little bit for this one. You can even sing along with it too if you feel so inclined. But if we knew a way to wash it all away, this love is who we are. What if we knew a way to wash it all away? This love is who we are. You wanna try singing with us? No way to wash it all away. This love is what we are. One more time. What if we knew a way to wash it all away? This love is who we are.
Have you recorded that?
Yeah.
No.
Not yet. We have a little like live recording one time, but we gotta get one though.
That's a great song.
Thank you.
So, we are so excited to be here. We are City Love.
City Love.
Yeah. To my right, Mr. Sterling Duns.
To my left, Mr. Caselli Jordan. And where did that name come from?
Oh,
There's
so
a lot. There's a story behind
the
it,
name of City
and it's
Love.
evolved too.
Well, I don't know. I think we were just thinking about coming from different backgrounds. I actually came from a suburb outside of Chicago, and it was, I would say, predominantly white suburb. And I think I had kind of a sheltered existence in a lot of ways growing up. And, you know, for me, really needing to be educated by the city in so many ways, and understanding so much of what's happening in our world is happening, in our country, I should say, is happening in our cities in terms of the change that we see, the problems that we can see. So really finding love for that, really understanding it.
Mm-hmm. And I grew up in West Philly, so in the city, and understanding where Caselli was coming from. But I know, being from the city of brotherly love and sisterly affection, you know, for me it's very much a nod to Philadelphia in so many ways, and how we can embody love and really let our work speak to you know, the transformation that we would love to have in many different places, but especially in the city, our city, Philadelphia. So that's where City Love came from.
You want to explain your names?
Sure.
Sally and Sterling.
So Sterling is my middle name, and so when I started performing out, I started going by Sterling. And my last name is Dunstan, so Sterling Duns is how I perform out.
Yeah, and my mother's last name is Caselli, and my father's last name is Jordan. So I put them together to make Caselli Jordan as my name when I'm performing, and just to really, pay homage to both sides of my ancestry there. And my grandfather on my mother's side was the one who really brought music into our family line, and he taught himself trumpet, and then his children fell in love with music and spent so much time learning music, and that was passed on to my generation. So it felt really important to call them in when I'm doing music.
That's all.
Charlie Peterson.
Yes, Charlie. Great to see you. Good to see you again.
Yeah. Should we go around and we can all just say our names and maybe something we're hoping to
Get out of the workshop today.
At
That'd
first,
be great.
didn't you promise me you would explain the name City Love?
They did.
The name of the city, City Love?
Yeah,
Was
yeah,
that the
that's
song was the answer to that? But
Mm.
it's your organization I was asking about.
yeah, no, that's what we were saying in terms of the, Sterling mentioned that, the brother of city love, the city of brotherly love and sisterly affection, pulling that in. And I was talking about, just kind of this meeting of suburbs and city,
Okay.
and really wrapping our heads around all the change, all the beautiful things, all the challenges that cities pose, and embracing them.
Can you bring this around the city?
Oh yeah,
There's a
yeah.
lot
Yeah.
of trouble out
Yeah,
there.
we bring.
Were you
Lot
in
of trouble.
Minnesota or someplace recently? Where was this? You were out of Pennsylvania.
Yeah, so we just got back from doing a workshop in Minnesota at the University of Minnesota, which was really great, with a leadership group there, and played at a concert, sustainability concert that they were putting on fundraising. So it was great. So we get to travel around Philadelphia and other parts of the country, really, to do our workshops.
Mhm.
So we're very
And you
excited to
did
be
one
here.
at Pendle Hill recently.
Yes.
Because there are people
Last year,
here
yeah.
in this room who would know what Pendle Hill is.
Mhm,
Yeah,
mhm.
yeah. We've been really fortunate to get to go out there a few times and share some performances.
Great. Yeah, so maybe we just go around and see who's in the room. If you can introduce yourself and one thing you're excited about, about this workshop, or one thing you're looking to get out of this workshop, or one thing you're nervous about in terms of making some, maybe anything. One thing you're nervous about, but anything you want to offer up, and maybe we can start.
And maybe also your favorite warm thing to drink in cold weather. How about that? Just to have something fun.
Yes, yes.
Well, Nancy Straw, I guess it's hot chocolate, and I just remember last year's session, and some of you were here, and just great, I thought. And also the reading beforehand.
Oh.
The,
Dr. Seuss?
yeah, the Dr. Seuss, it was Fox
Fox
on.
and Fox.
Yes.
Fox on
Fox,
Fox,
well,
yeah.
you're
It
lucky.
was so good.
Oh.
I thought, that's hip, that was a great lead-in, I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks.
I'm Marcy White. I had no idea what this was gonna be. I still don't. But Liz is my next door neighbor and I love her, and so I thought, well, anything she does is exciting.
Great.
So, but I have never heard Philadelphia called the city of brotherly love and sisterly affection.
Not sisterly affection as much as the city of brotherly love.
Mhm.
Oh, that I've heard, but never the addition of sisterly affection. I like it.
We got to bring the sisters in there.
Yeah.
They tend to get left out far too often in
Yeah, I like
in
that.
history.
My name is Thelma Neufeld. I do the plays and musical here for Penswood. And I came today to see maybe I could add hip hop to some of my musical numbers.
There we go.
Okay.
That's all I can tell you.
You didn't say what your hot drink was or cold drink.
Oh.
Oh yeah.
What's your hot drink?
Favorite warm drink in
What
cold
warm
weather.
drink do you like?
What?
They want to know what warm drink you like.
One,
Yeah. What do you like to drink when it's cold out? What's a warm drink that you enjoy?
a brandy called Courvoisier.
Oh, all right. Wow. All right. I think hot chocolate, but that's great. That's great. That's great. How about you, Marcy? Did you have a?
Well, I was, Nancy said hot chocolate, and now that Thelma's.
Yeah, put them together.
Maybe, yeah. I could be partial
partial to both.
Well, I'm Rhoda Rice, and I was here last year, as Nancy was, and I thought it was very exciting and invigorating and thought-provoking, and it was a good thing, and I felt that this had to be the same way, so here I am.
All right, thanks for coming back.
My name is Jan Neitzel, and I was having coffee with Rhoda today, and she said, "Are you going down to the hip hop?" I went, "Hmm?" So when she told me about it, I thought, I have to go so I can tell my granddaughters about
Yeah,
this.
there you go.
Yes.
All right.
Anyway, my favorite hot drink, I think, might be hot tea.
Okay.
Oh, yes, I forgot, mine is hot tea.
Hot tea. Okay, great.
I was here last year, had a ball, loved it. I was so inspired that I went home and wrote the Pep Hop on my own just for fun, because I like to write, and I was just very inspired by, there's something about rap that I find, there's something about rap that I find very moving. And I never thought I would hear just people saying words would be moving. But there's something about the beat, and I don't know, I feel deep emotions with listening to rap and doing rap and composing rap. I think it's wonderful. You don't have to compose, you don't have to rhyme everything, and you just do what you feel and do it to the beat. It sounds great.
There you go. Wow. That's,
Your favorite warm drink? My favorite warm drink, well, it was hot cocoa when I was a kid, but then I discovered caffeine, and now either coffee or tea is great.
All right.
Yeah, so Marguerite Chandler. And I wasn't here last year, but I remember you guys, so I definitely was wanting to be here. And, what do I want to get out of this? Well, this is a real stretch for me. You know, I'm not a poet, I am a writer, but I'm not a creative writer like some people. And so I'm just going to be interested to see how this shapes me. I'm sure it will be a life-changing. And you and I were in an EQUAT march together at Pico.
Oh, yes, yes.
And the rap that you sang, I cannot get out of my head.
Oh,
So,
wow.
Thank
you.
Give everybody another chance, and I want to get another crack at it too.
All right. Well, I recorded it on my phone because it just came to me on the walk. And I was
Yeah.
like, oh, okay.
Yeah. And my favorite warm drink is hot tea also.
Right.
What do you think about it? My name is Herbert Silverman, and I have the advantage of being married to Liz Serkin.
Yeah.
So I'm here because of you guys, we knew her last time. Made a great impression on me, and I thought I'd take another shot at it. My favorite drink is rum and Coca-Cola, hot.
Hot rum.
Wow. All right. That could be hot. That'll keep you warm.
You can take.
I'm Doris Weiss, and I'm here because Liz said to be here. I wanted to see what it was all about. Maybe I'd enjoy something else other than what I do.
And your favorite?
That first cup of coffee, only one cup of coffee in the morning.
Okay.
Hot coffee with caffeine. Doctor said to do that.
Important.
Yeah.
Keeps the brain sharp.
Oh, I didn't know what it did. Made me warm and.
But now you can feel even better drinking it. You're doing something good for my health. Dr. Liz says so.
Okay, I'm Liz Serkin, and I'm the one who comes up with these cockamamie ideas. And since it worked so well last year, and since you two enjoyed being here, thought let's do it again. And because I really believe in the arts transforming culture. We need that more than any time in our history, I believe. So anything we can do to give an audience for people like you and to get us involved, even if the change is only inside us, I think it's really essential. So thank you for being here. My favorite hot drink is coffee with hot milk in it.
Okay.
I'm Charlie Peterson, and I was glad to be here last year, and I'm glad to be here again. I'm sorry I'm late, but my wife would have come too, only she's got yeast bread ready, that has to go in the oven at this point. And of course, I love to stay and eat it off right out of the oven, but I'm gluten sensitive, so I can't do that. Anyway, to make a long story short, my favorite hot drink is hot chocolate, strong, lots of sugar.
Yay.
Thank you. Great. Thanks for sharing. Thanks again for making the time in your day to come out, especially on a Saturday, especially on a cold and icy Saturday.
Thank you.
Does everybody know who?
Oh yeah, you guys want to introduce
Crew?
Chris and Michelle.
Yes.
Hi.
Yes. Thank y'all for being here.
So let's see. So, we wanted to tell you too. So we are City Love. We write love songs. Some of them are romantic love songs, and some of them
Are the way that Cornel West defines love, where he says justice is what love looks like in public. So we write songs about issues impacting our world, our communities, our country, and really look to just add a light of love on situations. So we write romantic love songs, we write very justice-centered love songs. And Caselli's going to explain some of the processes we use to create songs, all the love songs that we use. All right.
So we, part of the reason that we do these songs is it's a very personal process. It's one where, you read a book that really touches you, or you experience an event that really touches you or that you're struggling with, and you take that and you can, almost like a mad scientist, and you take, how can I take that from the inside and bring it back out? How can I create something to share with others? And that's a very transformative process personally, to be creative, to take something from the inside and bring it out in a way that others can receive it, So you're refining yourself, you're transforming yourself, but once you put it out there, then you're necessarily creating dialogue. Someone's going to have a reaction to what you put out there. It might be a positive reaction, might be a negative reaction. And then they're in turn going to be transformed by their experience of what you created. And then they might transform you by saying, I didn't like what you sang, or I didn't like your piece of artwork that you made, or whatever the case may be. Or they might be, I love it, but did you consider this? So just this dialogue that comes from anytime you put something out there into the world. So really seeing that as this process that just keeps flowing, that creativity from the self creates dialogue, creates transformation, and they all just keep going back and forth. And in the middle the whole time are your identity and values that just keep being changed, keep evolving through that process. So, so for us, we really believe that creativity can change the world. It's definitely changed my life.
It's changed my life.
And continues to. And I know that it's a process that I need in my life until hopefully I will get to create my whole life and keep growing and keep changing through that creativity. And so we're really excited to be here today and use creativity, use some of the music we've come up with to open up dialogues around different issues. The theme for today is moving beyond prisons and transformative justice in communities. And so to take this creativity and share some songs, get you guys reflecting on the issues, and then getting you guys to create something with us. We'll make a full group song at the very end. So, is there anything I'm missing?
No. So we're going to play some songs, and we're going to ask some queries to just start out, get us really syncing up and thinking about some big issues in regards to the prison system in our country and moving towards transformative justice. And this first song is called Let Them In, which was inspired very much so by us reading Michelle Alexander's book, The New Jim Crow, and we actually went to Pendle Hill and got to play at a conference that she was speaking at. It's a very powerful book all about the prison system and all the injustices that are wrapped up in it. So we'll play that song and then ask you to think about some queries.
The wise Frederick Douglass once said, "It's easier to build a strong boy than to fix a broken man." broken man was once a boy, broken heart, or broken home, or broken school, and we start to see him slip down through the cracks, and then he cracks, and then he's broke, and then he breaks. A broken man has been made.
Yes, this is where we should begin. Yes, we should let them all in. In a tent, forgiveness is the word. If they're out, let them in. Let them begin to be heard. Yes, yes, this is where we should begin. Y'all, we should let them all in. In a tent, forgiveness is the word. If they're out, let them in. Let them begin to be heard. Yes, let them in. What happens when a boy becomes a man and the chains around his hands drive him insane and change his plans for the life he wants to live? No more hugging moms, no kids, just a wired mind, a tragic time. He'll pray this fine till he's dead. And us outside of those walls, we say it must be their fault, but we don't look inside ourselves to see what we've been doing wrong. This the song for introspection, so take your time for reflection. Is the person in the mirror more criminal than the rest? Yes, this is where we should begin. Yes, we should let them all in. In a tent, forgiveness is the word. If they're out, let them in. Let them begin to be heard. Yes, yes, this is where we should begin. Yo, we should let them all in. In a tent, forgiveness is the word. If they're out, let them in. Let them begin to be heard. Yes, let them in. 400 years, and the past is at our feet. And the people on the streets look for fathers, they're all sweet. In the prisons, 1 of 3 of descents of Africans are struggling, that's no crowds, they don't deserve to be free. Oh, the horrors, the demise, there's no men but no surprise. 1/4 of the world's prison population is alive in our nation's backyard. Now we can do better, cause what we do today is how we're remembered forever.
We need your help when we sing, na 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 na, na 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 na. You sing, let them in. Try it with us, na 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 na, na 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 na. You sing, let them in.
Nice.
That background check,
Can't earn that check.
let them in. That welfare line,
Won't let them sign.
you sing, let them in. Can't get that loan,
To buy that home.
let them in. They'll Sally Mae,
Won't help him pay.
let them in. That ballot box,
That ballot line.
let them in. Nowhere to turn, so they return. And you or I might do the same. Try on those shoes, open eyes.
Yes, this is where we should begin. Yes, we should let them all in. Penitence, forgiveness is the word. If they're out, let them in. Let them begin to be heard. Yes, yes, this is where we should begin. Yes, we should let them all in. Penitence, forgiveness is the word. If they're out, let them in. Let them begin to be heard. Yes, let them in. That's true.
Please feel free to drum on the table, snap, clap, get up and dance
Yeah.
during any point of the workshop. We love that. Sure, yeah.
So you know that song. I certainly have my own views about the prison system before really educating myself on some of the facts and numbers, and just when you start to really break down the demographics, how much money it costs, all these things that are wrapped up in our prison system. You know, you really just start to see, and it's huge. It's a big part of our society. So it was really important for myself and us to really face some of those facts in order to think about ways that we can transform, you know, the injustices and really work towards facing the injustices.
And there's some statistics in the song, but just to share some of those, that the United States, that 1/4 of the world's prison population is inside of our nation's backyard. So that, it's a startling fact, and maybe many of you are familiar with it, that 1/4 of the entire world's prison population exists in our country, despite it being so small relative to many other nations in the world, and despite there being so many nations in the world. So just I always like to have that in my head to keep things in perspective. And and maybe, would you like to introduce yourself and
forced to come by this circus.
Sounds like you strung out a lot of people into this, Liz.
She threatened me, so I didn't want to tangle with her, so I.
Yes. That's understandable.
Okay, I'm John Hart.
And we were also sharing, oh, sorry.
I'm glad to be here.
I'm glad you're
coming.
here,
Thank you for coming.
And favorite warm drink to drink on a cold day?
Well, not, what, look, what?
Oh, do you have a favorite thing you like to drink on a cold day?
Yes. Yeah, favorite drink?
Warm drink, maybe.
Warm drink, a little warm Jack Daniels.
We had some Cavassier over here, some rum and coke, so we got.
Great.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Great.
No, I see, I have one song that I could put
Yeah.
So, yeah. So we have 3 queries for us to think about, and we're thinking maybe we can partner up for 3 to 4 minutes, and just think about these queries with your partner. What was your perception of police growing up? Your perception of prisons. How has your skin given you advantages if when you've dealt with police? How does our prison system create obstacles to justice in our society? So, you know, you can speak to all of these, you can speak to one of these or 2 of these, but with a partner, if you can just think about what was your perception of police growing up, what was your perception of prisons, how has your skin given you advantages?
And disadvantages too, I'm sorry, I meant to, I was writing a little too hurried, yeah, that.
If when you've dealt with police, how does our prison system create obstacles to justice in our society? So let's take 4 minutes. Get back together. Would any group like to share out anything that came up in their conversation? And also we have 2 new friends who have joined us.
Yeah, if you 2 would like to share your names and favorite hot beverage for a cold, icy, rainy day.
What do you like? What hot beverage do you like?
Tea with a little cinnamon in it.
Oh, great.
And would you like to share your name with that?
We were here the
Yes,
last one.
for sure.
I'm Ruth Peterson, I'm married to that gentleman over there.
How's your bread?
Yeah, how's the bread coming?
How's the bread?
Oh, it's going to be lovely, it's called monkey bread.
Nice.
I take it to my son's boss who's doing our car.
I came late.
So we're-
Bruce
Awesome.
had to put stuff in the oven. Some hot sweet bread.
Yeah, okay. I thought I'd take
No. Yes?
My perception, is that what I'm asking? Oh, my name, Connie, sorry. Connie, yeah. Hi.
Thanks for coming. Do you have a hot beverage that you enjoy?
Do I have what?
A hot beverage that you like to drink on a cold day.
Oh, thank you, I'm good.
Great. So does anybody want to share out anything that came up in their conversation with their partner, or around one of these queries, around the song that we played? Anything that came up for you? Share.
I want to share something.
When I was talking to Herman, he mentioned he grew up in Philadelphia in a Jewish neighborhood, and the police were Jewish. I mean, that was like a new thought for me, that there were Jewish policemen, and that the Jewish policemen knew all the kids by name. You know, it was a small.
And they were our friends.
Yeah. So that was like a new thought.
And
And,
aren't there a lot of neighborhoods where Irish neighborhood where the cops are Irish also?
It would be nice.
Pardon me?
It would be good.
I think that they
Yeah.
did that in Philadelphia where I live. I lived in Spring, that's what you're talking about. It's an old Jewish neighborhood. And we had 3 policemen, that's all we got. And they knew all of us, they would watch us go across the street. There weren't much crime going on. The Jews don't go into crime. If they're gonna make money, they're gonna make it with stock market. And it was easy, it was very easy. The policemen were there just to keep you from walking across the street and getting hurt. But they spoke Yiddish.
yes,
Oh, my.
yes.
I think that's important, and we were talking about what a crazy situation happened in Harvard, where this black fellow was going into his house, and a very famous, very famous African-American guy, and they locked, you know, they locked him up.
Yeah, on TV this week.
And if that happens in a town like Harvard, for Christ's sake, don't they have policemen who know what's going on in this world? That's really very, very sad. And that caused a lot of trouble. Caused a lot of trouble.
Well, I think I have an unusual situation, and I didn't have any, I grew up, because I was a missionary kid and lived over in another part of the world where, in China, and there everybody had a tan, you know, and that was all I knew about differences. And then when the first time I knew about jails and everything was, I found out that from my father that my stepbrother had been in jail in St. Louis, and my father was living in Los Angeles, and he drove out to St. Louis to get him out of jail. And we never talked about that. You know, I didn't hear about that until much later on in my life.
Anyone else?
I grew up in a very, very white suburb of Pittsburgh, and we weren't even allowed to call the police cops. That was almost a dirty word. It was not respectful. They were police, and they were policemen in those days. And I don't even know where I know the name of the prison in Pittsburgh. I have no clue where it is. So.
No clue where what is?
The prison, one of the, it's Western Penitentiary, but where is it? It was totally out of the realm.
Distraction of sorts.
Yeah.
But tell about the man in your church.
There was a man in our church who was Mr. Church. I mean, he did everything. Taught Sunday school, lectured, preached. And he ended up losing his job, which he loved, and the whole family fell apart. And his wife got a restraining order, and he broke it, and he showed up at the house. She called the police. He ended up in Bucks County Prison. I was up there for a Christmas celebration or something, and I will never get this picture out of my head, and seeing this man walking in a straight line in a uniform to lunch or something, and there he was. I mean, he was such a dapper, wonderful man. He didn't belong there. He did not belong there. He was mentally ill at this point. He did not belong there. And he just crashed.
Yeah, I'd just like to mention that Bucks County, the League of Women Voters did a panel on the criminal justice system in Bucks County. And because I'm new to Pennsylvania, I was really interested to hear about it. So about 8 people, judges, attorneys for the defense and prosecutors and, parole officers and so forth, a whole panel of people. And all of them, the consensus of all of them was that the biggest issue was mental health. That because there are not treatment areas for people with mental health, they end up in the jails where they don't belong, and they get treated in ways that clearly, inappropriate to their health and make their situation much, much worse. And, and then when you add that, people of color, then it's like a whole other dimension of it, so same.
Can you expand on that a little bit?
What, about the people of color? Well, I think the thing that certainly, for me, brought it most to my attention was the Black Lives Matter. Until people had cell phones and started showing what was happening, I don't think the extent of the discrimination against black people, particularly black men, was visible to me. I mean, I'd read the new Jim Crow, I had the statistics, all of that, but to see those videos, it was like, yeah, and I've heard, black people speak about it, but when you see it, it's a whole different, and the only people that were surprised The black community was clearly not surprised, the white community was surprised.
Well, in many of the experiences that I have heard about have come about as an adult. And growing up, I didn't have any kind of contact or knowledge of the discord between the public and the police. And as far as my next door neighbor was a policeman. He was a black policeman. And his family, I mean, it was just incidental to us that he was a policeman. But insofar as his policing responsibilities, I had no knowledge of that completely as an adult. However, when I grew up and became an adult and became exposed to all of the news and the scenes of the police actions, then I became involved and knowledgeable about what was going on. But like many of you here, as growing up, I didn't have any personal experiences with police, except when I became an adult and I was pulled over by a policeman for driving too fast in a zone, and I had an experience with him. But that's just a common experience that everybody would have. I guess most folks would have. But insofar as the hostility and all of the turbulence that has occurred now, I didn't experience that.
I'm glad.
No,
I'm glad.
That's what. Well, that was one of it. So, but from the conversations I've had with many of you here, I mean, you're surprised, you know, that I don't have this point of reference. I didn't have that contact like Herman was talked about having people of his own group as a policeman. This was the experience that I had. We had black policemen in our area who knew the people, but they were not looked upon as being hostile toward the rest of the folks in the community. They were okay. I mean, but we didn't really. They were servants. I mean, they would come to our help in case there was an emergency, someone had an accident, or something of that sort. But there was never any police, the typical police action that we would expect that was exposed to our neighbors and to us. That's been my experience.
My experience, I grew up in Texas, so it was a lot different maybe than what some of the other experiences were. And my experience was, it was a very, very, very sad thing to see. Very sad. I never went to school with a person of color, and we were all just alike, but we all thought alike, and we were just exactly alike. And it was a sad thing, very sad. And my partner here grew up in Kansas, and she had some almost similar types of experiences.
Well, I was born and raised in a little town in Kansas, and we didn't have one black in the whole town. And yet there was huge bigotry. They didn't even know a black person. And yet they still had this dumb bigotry. My father did. And I used to say, don't talk down about other people you don't even know. It upsets me. And the bigoted remark was don't roll up. It was ingrained in. And all my 7 girlfriends surrounded me with a debate in which they would stand up and say, all black people smell. And then I'm supposed to defend them. All black people knife in the back, and then I'm supposed to defend them. These were teenagers without too much maturity. But I was devastated because if I lost my friends in that little town, I wouldn't have a friend in the world. So their friendship was precious to me. And I should have bowed under, they were trying to convert me into thinking like they did. And they didn't do it, by God, I stood by my life all the time.
Wow. Yay,
But
Joyce.
To be surrounded by hatred when you don't even know someone.
Yeah.
That's so stupid. I can't even, how do people, how did this happen to people?
It starts at home. They had to be taught to hate. That's what's so sad.
It's fear.
Yeah, I wanted to concur with Herman. My sister-in-law grew up in Brooklyn, and she's Jewish, and 2 of her uncles were policemen. And she talked very fondly about how they had their beat, they walked, and they knew everyone in the neighborhood, and all the children especially, they knew them by name. The other thing was, we lived on a curve of a road, and every year in weather like this, someone would come down the hill and run into our front yard, usually into the lamppost and knock it over, so the police would come. And so my parents got to know the policemen pretty routinely, because we usually had about 2 episodes a year where someone would run into the front yard. And then, and they were all very nice, but they were all white. And then in the summer, when my parents had a party, it was kind of known that the party wasn't over till the police showed up, because someone would call the police about the music. But they were very nice. In fact, I remember one time one of them coming around 11 o'clock at night, and he came and sat down and had a drink with my parents. And he said, you know, just turn the music down a little bit. It wasn't anybody who was really hostile. It's just that it was 11 o'clock at night, and they felt it was time. So we did know them, but they were all very friendly, and they were all white.
Pretty wide range of experiences.
Oh, when I was in college, it was right after Pearl Harbor. I was in Los Angeles at the University of Southern California, and in my class, there were like 1/3 of the class were Japanese Americans, another third were Jewish guys, and the rest of us. And of course, we all got along real well. And as soon as Pearl Harbor happened, there was agitation to get all the Japanese Americans off the West Coast, and the West Coast, I guess the East Coast as well. And that was really quite upsetting to me, because I don't remember any police coming to take these guys away. And they were all guys, except, yeah, we had one Jewish girl, and her buddy was a Catholic nun. So that was the only 2 women. But anyway, and we didn't think anything of that. But it was very upsetting to me that these Japanese Americans were rounded up and sent off to internment camps. In fact, one guy was a Japanese American who was already a graduate and had earned a master's degree, I guess, in sociology, and he was the guy that had gone to the authorities, and I think they allowed him to be the last Japanese American sent off, and he was just trying to help the other Japanese Americans and Japanese American families with details that they had to do. They had to kind of sell their businesses or whatever else they had to send off. And although this sociology guy was not a social worker guy, he was the last. He was Japanese American, and he helped his neighbors do that.
So we're gonna have some more times, and we'll get some more voices in the room that didn't get a chance to cheer for that song.
I really appreciate hearing so many personal experiences from your pasts, and I think that really gives us a context to build from, to understand, you know, how is the experience of others different than mine, and how does the system of experiences differ from mine. So as we move forward, let's really try and keep this question of how does our prison system create obstacles to justice in our society? Keep that in mind as we go forward, and we'll keep coming back to that as an idea and try and synthesize some of the different aspects that we come up with over time.
But yeah, you want to introduce?
Sure, yeah. So this next song is called Addition, and it's something that we wrote, really trying to wrap our heads and our hearts around, I guess, a lot of the inequality around education, and, trying to start connecting education to opportunity, to economics, and how that all ties into the criminal justice system. How does someone's schooling set them up or help them avoid run-ins with the police. So thinking about that and those broader inequalities in terms of education over generations, how does that play out? How does that influence the trajectory of a society as a whole? And what are the alternatives? How can we re-envision another future where education is not an obstacle, where in fact it helps create the society that we want, a really equitable, beautiful society where everyone has what they need. Look at the young ones out on the playground. Put them together, they'll make it better. Class size of 35 with just one teacher. Don't blame the teachers till they stop trying. No child left behind except the brown ones. The lots of poor ones whose schools don't have funds. They have no textbooks, but they'll be tested. And now the school's closed. There goes the neighborhood. Where do those kids go? Those schools are too low, and now they don't show. Those kids just don't know. They feel forgotten, so they start hustling to earn a living. End up in prison. Break down the laws, y'all. Let's change the laws, y'all. Teachers and students, we got to raise a bar.
Black, white, be salad. To every color on the palette. Multiply, don't divide. Me plus you equals life. Got them all on deck. Put them up, see what's next. Cause I know, and you know, together with each other, that's true growth. It's true growth. It's always better when we're together.
Just a little bit first, then we see it spread. Like some wildflowers, we belong among. Diversity, American dream. Learning from each other, true community. Motivated souls, growing as we serve. With a choice, a chance, a purpose to make change. Creativity, not afraid to fail. So inspired by the
Yes,
possibility.
yes, education, food for the whole nation. Enough love in your heart to battle all you facing. If the grass grows green on the other side, ask why the wall exists, why the divide. We all need each other, city level, we are brothers. As we gaze up together and forever wonder, what's the meaning of this whole thing? To laugh, to smile, to sing, let joy ring. Come on, come on. Black, white, be salad. To every color on the palette. Multiply, don't divide. Cause me plus you equals life. Got them all on deck. Add them up, see what's next. Cause I know, when we know, together with each other, that's true growth. Black, white, be salad. To every color on the palette. Multiply, don't divide. Me plus you equals life. Got them all on deck. Add them up, see what's next. Cause I know, when we know, together with each other, that's true growth. Growth, it's always better when we're together.
Whoa.
So, got a few more questions here.
How'd that happen?
Their teachers. Magic.
Yes.
Their teachers
When they
too.
do that, when we were talking?
So how does segregation and unequal school funding over generations affect the relationship between schools and prisons? How did your experience in school prepare you or not for a life secure from the threat of imprisonment? How does segregation and unequal school funding over generations affect the relationship between schools and prisons? How did your experience in school prepare you or not for a life secure from the threat of imprisonment?
And for this one, if you're able to move a little bit, maybe trying to talk with a different partner, maybe even just turning in the other direction, and maybe we'll have a few people who need to scooch around. But just to switch it up so you're not only talking with the same one person.
We could bring it back. Bring it back. There's so much lively conversation. That's beautiful. And want to bring it back and maybe give space for people to share out, at least initially, who didn't get a share for the first set of queries. So anybody want to share about their reflections on the song we just played and on thinking about education and its impact on prisons? Anybody want to share?
Well, my daughter teaches in a middle school to 7th graders who are disabled, mentally disabled, to a point where they have to be in special education, and she teaches math. 7th grade math is bad enough, but when you're teaching it to a child that needs special attention, it's doubly bad. 90% of her students are black. She's in a poor district. The neighborhood is very, very middle class, but this particular school district is underfunded. And she says to me regularly, what kind of future do these children have? We can't educate them properly. They're not getting disciplined at home, no structure whatsoever. They come to class and they expect the teachers to provide all the structure they need. She said, it's impossible to teach these children under the circumstances. This has been going on for years. Nothing has changed. What kind of future do these children have? That's her question. Where will they go when they get out of school? They will have no skills. They cannot read. They cannot write. They can't even cope with taking care of themselves. And when they go home, nobody's home. They walk into an empty house. Parents are either away, or they're busy, or they're working, or they're drunk, or they're drugged. And it's the kind of an existence that they have on a daily basis. And then some of them come to school crying to her, telling them about what's going on at home. And this is a school. This is in a lovely suburb, but it's a poorly funded district. And nobody really is giving them any major attention. It's a heartbreak.
And hearing that, I think back to this other question. I won't flip this all the way around, but just to, didn't quite fit. Never mind. But the last question of how does our prison system create obstacles to justice in our society? And you think about that, and you think about the statistic that 1/3 of black males are in prison. So the probability of one of these students having a father who is incarcerated is actually quite high, 1 in 3 chance, in fact. And that sort of thing is staggering. And how does that destabilize home, and maybe even over generations? How is that impacting a child's structure at home? How is a mother who is now a single mother coping with raising children? All these.
Such trouble they have.
So just to give that context, thank you for sharing. Anyone else?
And when they do come out of prison, because they're a felon, they cannot have food stamps, they cannot have housing, which is not going to produce a stable home life again. And then you just get it all over again. But that question, the fact we haven't adequately funded Head Start, the funds were cut for that. And statistically, it shows how much we benefit from starting those. So, and that's certainly a difference. Just starting. Our son taught in a high school, Franklin High, and he taught in a classroom where the windows were nail closed, so the kids wouldn't throw their stuff out the window. He taught physics, chemistry. Anyway, when he was hit by a student and had to go to the police station, but if you do that, then you are expelled and you don't have to go to school anymore because you don't have the tools to do what you need to in school in the first place. So if they misbehave, they get what they wanted, like I'm out of this system. They haven't prepared me for it, I don't do well. Then they're on the street and it starts. It's like, well, we've heard about it from school to jail. It's just a straight path.
Anyone else?
Now, I find the prisons appalling in a way that they don't keep someone in prison for 20 or 30 years, and they're in a cell by themselves.
What about solitary confinement for 20 years?
I know, I'm not talking to anyone for.
No.
And then they just shut them out in the world and expect them to, sparkle and live and they don't know how. They haven't, they lost their social, ways of getting along with people and learning how to give and take with people. They haven't learned a skill. They haven't learned, how, that they're in charge of their life and they have to do it according to, I don't know, they just need to learn everything about going into the outside world. And this needs to be taught in the prisons, not when they get out of it, just throw them out the door and you're free now. This is wrong. They need to be trained in the prisons. And they should all have a skill. They should be taught to be a tailor or a cook or have a skill when they walk out. And they need to praise these people. They need to have some kind of environment or social time where they interact with each other and learn to give and take with each other.
They need mentors.
And they need to love each other, care about
They
each other.
need people to support them as a mentor
Yeah.
would.
They get nothing.
No,
They get
they
nothing.
get no support systems at all. Very few do anyway.
Yeah, go ahead.
I taught in Bucks County Prison for a while, and it was an amazing experience, the best students I ever had. They wanted to learn philosophy, and they were amazing. They did their homework, they talked about the issues out in the common rooms, and they had a couple of other courses too, and at the end of the year, the legislature closed down the whole system of Pell Grants for prison people. They can still get some help to get their GEDs in prison, maybe. But we know the one thing that is consistent with staying out of prison is education. And that's the first thing we took away.
But the earlier you get this education, the better. It has to start, and it's not just with the 3 or 4 year olds. It's with the families of these 3 and 4 year olds, because oftentimes the parents need education because they don't know what to do, because they haven't.
Now,
been
my
taught.
point was only that even after you failed at that, it's not too late.
Right. No.
It really
No,
isn't.
it's not.
But I 100% agree with you.
Yeah.
And that really comes back to the idea of over generations. How do these facets, segregation, unequal fair funding, how does this affect the composition of prison? Who is going to prison? How is that? How are people just set up in such a deep way for that track, based on their experiences? Thank you guys for sharing. Anybody else feels called to share?
Also play into this. And I was thinking of who are the role models? We live in a very poor situation where, you don't know anybody who owns a business, or you don't know anybody who's a professional, or you don't know anybody who encourages you or mentors you, or the values around you are of people who can't take care of themselves. So if your parents or the people around you don't provide that role model, then your role models aren't going to be the best ones. And that obviously shows up.
I just remember on our, in Philadelphia at a work camp, on our street, Wick Street, went into one house in the bathroom. They were afraid the bathroom was going to fall in the kitchen. And so she was worried. I was over there. We were looking at it and what we could do. But, and the folks they had started a garden at the end of the street. I mean, they were coping beautifully and doing the best they could. But at the end of the street was a crack house, which I didn't even know about at first. But that's really tough to deal with, of course. But I was so impressed with Trenton High one time. One of the boys went out on the lawn and fortunately got it on a picture, and he said, I'm tired of the flooding in my classroom and the mold that's developing there, and within the hour, there were 200 kids out on that lawn. I thought, and then there's a school building committee, which had been just waiting, partly because the community didn't know where to keep the behind, or to redo it entirely. But anyway, it was a dramatic change that took place, because then the school district started to clean up some of those classrooms, which were absolutely miserable. And it just impresses me sometimes with what people are able to cope to do. And in Princeton, we're wrestling with the community. You know, you'd think in Princeton we'd have community policing, like Newtown has had marvelous police, and the prison has had 2 or 3 very, very good wardens. But in Princeton, we were still having difficulties. And one time, we had a sign in our yard about no more war, and I was taking the back of the sign to a demonstration at the end of the street, at 4 blocks down, and was accosted because she called in that somebody had stolen our sign, and I was accosted on the street with this sign. One policeman was just, oh yeah, I understand. And the other one was ready to just haul me off. I mean, he was just so unprepared and so ill-trained. It just was shocking, I thought, but that happens.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I'm impressed with the New York police were very wonderful and sound at one point, and then they started panning you up. And that just causes problems with horses and strollers at the same place. I mean, you know, it's to see it really well run as it can be, and then to see it just evaporate. You know, it just takes absolute vigilance all the time.
Because they're scared.
Yeah, they are
People are
scared.
scared.
Yeah.
It's fear.
But anyway,
It's fear.
but it's opening up. At least there's some discussion going on. That's good. But anyway.
The one thing you really need in there is what does the education of the police have to do with all that stuff?
Great
Ooh,
question.
wow.
That's a good
That's more important than anything you got there, really. Because if you have a policeman who feels that he's respected, for one, and that he's part of the community, for 2, and he's here to help you, not protect you, there's a difference. Protecting you means that anybody looks suspicious, I'm gonna worry about. And that's the whole police system is a result of the prisons, and because of the police system. I'm convinced of it. You can see a policeman stop somebody, you know what happens, right now. If we had good, smart policemen who had good education, who were told, who were policed in values, then you wouldn't have about so many people in jail. Policemen, it starts with police, I'm convinced.
We're starting to do a program in Camden with the police department there, if anybody's been aware of it. And it seems to be starting to make a big dent in the policing situation in Camden, which had a terrifically high crime rate up until recently. So maybe some people are starting to get the idea of putting it into action to develop a police force that's well educated.
I work with the Peace Center in Langhorne, and we have attempted to have dialogues with the police there to start out as a small community. And the police are hesitant because they are afraid that people are going to attack them, you know, verbally. They're not there to be educated or to have a dialogue between the community and the police, but rather the community just wants to unleash all their venom on there. And the police said, no, we will not put ourselves in that position. So there is education to be done, but I'm not quite sure where it needs to
Well, I
start.
think the police department itself is doing this job in Camden, and they're doing it internally. But it's like an college course. hopefully it'll do some good, hopefully, because they're trying.
I have a question. Can you educate prejudice out of someone's mind?
I think we better hope so. Because there's a lot of prejudice, and yeah, I think we have a lot of work to do, but I think there's a lot of hope.
When you hear stories, that can help you. I remember years ago, I volunteered, I'm a nurse, and I volunteered with a group that was we took 50 kids from Newark and 50 from Philadelphia. These were all black children and Hispanic children under the age of 18 who had gone through the court system, and they were either going to go to jail or they could go to our program. And we took them up to the mountains for 10 days. And when you started to hear those stories, you understood why every single one of them was in the position they are in. It was horrible, horrible stories of sexual abuse and beatings and things that you would never, ever want to see a child have to go through. And if more white people understood that this is where so many of our kids have come from, how could you not have compassion for that? How could you not want to put your money into educating them and changing what they've had to go through?
And 25% of the children in this country go to bed hungry. Hungry. And when you're hungry, you'll steal. Maybe you start out with food and go from there, but people can't be hungry in this country, especially young, innocent children. That's terrible.
So I'm hearing all the pieces come together, the economics, the education, the prison system, the police system, and how all these interact. And this might be a wonderful time, Joyce, if you're willing to come up and share your song.
Okay.
So,
I don't talk fast like you.
Okay, I got you.
My rap is slow and slow. And I need a hand clap. Or you can beat on the desk if I need you on the hands. But I need kind of rhythm.
Give us a rhythm.
I'm going to beat, and then these guys are going to hang in there and improv. We must rehab a prisoner in the outside world. Prisoners, make them well. Help them work, help them play, help them survive for another day. Give them tools, give them praise, give them pride in what they do. Show them love, show them grace, and how they can live in their own space. Help them, give them, show them, help them, give them, show them, help them, give them, show them, help them, give them, show them. Yay!
Thank you, George.
Whoa!
Wow.
wow. That says it all.
That's powerful. Yeah. So this next song, we're gonna move to our last song before we really get into our creative process. But this song is called "Forgiveness is Peace," and it has a lot to do with, and we touched on this theme. But what does it mean? Because I think it's important to think about ethics and morals and what it means for individuals to commit infractions that maybe put other people in danger, or that hurt an environment. That's very important to think about, because we need people to be safe, we need people to be able to thrive. And it's important that we talk about forgiving others, forgiving ourselves. There's so many people we can look at in history who have really lived radically loving and forgiving lives to other people and themselves. And so this song really, really just centers on what it means to truly forgive people. And when you truly forgive people, you will welcome them back into society. You won't keep them on the outside, or when they come out of prisons, not give them jobs, or food stamps or allow them to get loans for houses or do any of those things. But when you truly forgive, it means something totally different than really what our prison system is currently doing in terms of when it releases people back into the world. So. Heaven forgive me, hard times have left me feeling empty. Old friends don't call and people try their best to forget me. The fame used to tempt me, attracted to living simply. Foundation salad, no heat, there was a crack in the chimney. Halfway to 50 plus 3, done living in envy. Pain strange, I opened up to the same things that I trapped long ago. It's a trap you already know, but I started believing in love and a people on this globe. I saw the light shine bright from the hearts of humans. I looked in the mirror and asked the man what he was doing. You can say a lot with words, but even more than talking, the best way to pave the way is to make the road by walking.
Only the great forgive. I wonder how Dr. King did. Jesus of Nazareth found mercy beyond words. I'll try to emulate and pray that I find the grace to forgive myself, forgive yourself one lovely day. It's never easy, but it's so necessary perhaps. It's why we're here, to try to learn to let it go, to find compassion in the darkest of days, to make amends, to make some peace, to find the strength to let it go. We're free at last, we're free at last, we let it go. We let it go, we let it go. I saw the pain in their eyes, I saw the light, and I cried. I know forgiveness takes love. I know forgiveness is peace. I know forgiveness takes love. I know forgiveness is peace. We've always done our best. It's not easy being human. We spread our pain and push love away. Sorry to say, what if the pain we cause is always just pain of ours? And what if the harshest words and violence are just cries for love? I want to hear the needs that inspire the hurtful deeds, and catch me before, catch you before we burn the bridges and just multiply our wounds. Forgive us, Mother, for we know not what we do. It's just me and you, just you and I. The line is thin, let's make it right. Let's make it right. I saw the pain in their eyes, I saw the light, and I cried. I know forgiveness takes love. I know forgiveness is peace. I know forgiveness takes love. I know forgiveness is peace. Well, so we've been having such great discussions that we're running a little bit short on time. So we have a few we can just take a few moments. What do you
And
think?
just to reflect inwardly. This time is not with a partner.
Sorry. Sorry, we fell off.
That's all good. The will came off. So just maybe we can take a minute or two just to reflect silently. What is something you struggle to forgive yourself about? What is something you struggle to forgive someone else about? How do you find your will to forgive? How can we foster forgiveness in society? What is something you struggle to forgive yourself about? What is something you struggle to forgive someone else about? How do you find your will to forgive? How can we foster forgiveness in society? And this is really important because when we try to imagine a world where our prison system does what it's, or restores justice, it really starts with ourselves, thinking about how we even think about forgiving ourselves for some things or forgiving those closest to us. It's easy to try to distance or think about people in prison as those people over there, but really they're connected to us, And justice to somebody far away is an injustice to all of us, as individuals. So maybe we'll just take one minute or 2 minutes to just reflect on this, and we won't even share out, but just think about these things.
In keeping with the Quaker tradition. Whatever issue we're dealing with, how can we try and represent it in its fullness?
So Dr. King has a beautiful quote: to hate the deed but not the doer. Hate the deed but not the doer. What does it mean to call in the person but call out the injustice that we see, which humanizes all parties when we really do that? That if you blame one person and make somebody else the winner, then nobody wins. But how do we try to restore justice in situations, especially as we think about the prison system? So what we like to do when thinking about an injustice, we like to start by thinking, what is the issue, and reflecting on how do you feel? How does it make you feel?
And then moving out from yourself, start beginning with yourself. How do I feel? But then empathy and solidarity for the victim in a situation. So really thinking, what does a person need after they've experienced the transgression?
Then reflecting on why the transgressor, why would somebody do that? Why would somebody commit the injustice?
And from there, moving to calling out the deed, but calling in the person. So we hear a lot about calling someone out on something they did, and that's really important. But how can you call them out and call them in at the same time so they're not just left out? This idea of bringing everyone in, restoring wholeness. And I think wholeness is a real key facet of restorative justice, that we're always trying to get these broken pieces and bring them back together. And how can we bring it all together? So, one song that we feel really epitomizes that process of trying to show both sides, complicate the issue, try and humanize everyone involved. And it's a song that we wrote in solidarity with the Black Lives Matter movement. Just really trying to look at police violence, look at the root causes, many of which we've been talking about today, that you guys have been sharing. Really humanize police, but first and foremost, understanding, showing empathy and solidarity for communities that are experiencing police violence. And from there, moving out, trying to understand what is a police officer bringing to that situation? What have they not received in their life? The understandings that they were lacking when they moved into those situations. So really, again, trying to come to wholeness again. All these black lives, they matter to me.
and it's hard to believe. Is it me? It's getting harder and harder to breathe. Feeling steeped in the heat of it all. Hell, we've been doomed and gloom since the first fall. Man, I call that a fail. And for whom does the bell toll? And for whom does the toll bell? And who really was Sean Bell? What if he lived to be 84? And what if Mike Brown had 80 more birthdays? Y'all, I want change in the worst ways. These next names got fame in the worst way. Boy, Grant, Renisha, I can't keep going. I feel the tears coming and my ears flowing. Stress got me reaching for my higher calling. But am I a dead man for being black and walking? Forefathers, we need a moral compass. We need to keep bending it towards the arc of justice. Come on.
Gotta show me digging, can't pay leave. All too early, Orlando, I can't breathe. We need justice. But if Freddie Gray was white like me, do you think those officers would still be free? We need justice.
Now sometimes I imagine being in the skin of my white friends as a young boy, growing up on the other side of town, but no blacks around. My only source of delight, the surround sound TV, and watching cops didn't make sense. But my pop said that was just evidence, and he was a cop on the black blocks. I wanted to be him. I grew up, became a policeman for 5 years. I fought crime with a partner back to back till some punk shot him up in the neck, and I never forgave the streets that raised the creep. My vision was bleak, I couldn't sleep. I'm on my 9 to 5 near this crack spot. I busted these clowns before. If they want more, I'll give them more. I kick in the door, my gun's drawn. I see someone that looks like me, walks like me, talks like me. I catch a glimpse of myself in the mirror while pointing this gun. Am I the one they should be fearing? It couldn't be any clearer. I see a picture of a mother, she's black with a kid around her neck. It hits me, we all wanna be free. And for so long, my dad's words were so strong. And my partner who got killed, it's unfair that he's gone. But these people aren't the problem. There's something deeper at work, something greater put on us at birth. I can't explain it, but I can't maintain it. And for some reason now I feel like singing, but I can't explain it. I can't maintain it, but for some reason now I feel like singing. Come on.
All these black lives, they matter to me.
Now with black lives and black culture, why does one get love when the other's supposed to?
All this grief in the streets, man, it's so hard to breathe.
It's too much to even fathom. We're going backwards with all this violent action.
Got our hands up, don't shoot, we are humanity.
Hands up, so don't shoot. If you're me and I'm you.
All these black lives, they matter to me.
Now with black lives and black culture, why does one get love when the other's supposed to?
All this grief in the streets, man, it's so hard to breathe.
It's too much to even fathom. We're going backwards with all this violent action.
Got our hands up, don't shoot. Got our hands up, don't shoot. Got our hands up, don't shoot.
So I think with, in that song, Caselli and I really thought about both the victim, empathizing with the victim, showing solidarity with the victim, which has been black communities of color, but also understanding where a police officer, we talked about fear, or somebody spoke about fear earlier, but understanding where a police officer would be coming from, going to very hostile situations, wanting to resolve, wanting to do nothing else but work towards peace, get home to their families in the evening, and it just creates, so much tension, in these situations that we see that they're volatile, extremely volatile, and so many times there's both parties, police officers, communities of color, no one wins. There's no winner or loser when you try and think of it as a zero sum. But we really like to think of restoring justice. What would it look like to understand the complications that go into things like policing communities and look towards restoring justice?
You guys ready to do a little something together? So,
shall we?
Yeah, I think we shall.
Yeah, we're right on time.
Yeah,
we're right on time.
Right on time.
55. So I have brought back one of my favorite rap artists, Dr. Seuss, with us right now, because what we're going to move into is creating a song together. All of us creating a song together.
And I think, we've been sitting down, we've been listening, y'all been listening to us play, we had some conversation, but we're gonna just get a little rhythmic right now, move our bodies around a little bit, and just do a little hip hop. Do a little hip hop together. If you've never done hip hop, we're gonna do it together. We're gonna do it together and just let you know that it's in your bones. It's in your bones. So, Sally.
Should we even, if you would like to and if you're able to stand up, I think.
It's up to
If
you.
you want to, like you can feel it in your body a little better if you would like to, if you're able. But if you can feel it in any way, but try and move your hands to the to the rhythm. Find some part of your body, even if it's a head nod, some way to feel the rhythm in your body. Okay. So, and you can do a little clap or hit the table. Just keeping the rhythm in some way or other with your body, whatever.
This multi-platinum rap album is called Fox and Socks.
Some of you might have heard it last year. Some of you might have rapped it last year.
You're just gonna repeat after me. Here we go. Fox and Socks, Fox and Knocks.
Fox and Socks,
Fox and Knocks.
Knocks on Fox and Socks and Box.
Knocks on Fox and Fox on Socks.
Socks on Knocks and Knocks and Box.
Socks on Knocks and Fox on Knocks.
Box and Socks on Box on Knocks.
Fox and Socks and Fox on Knocks.
Chicks with bricks come, chicks with blocks come.
Chicks with bricks come, chicks with blocks come.
Chicks with bricks and blocks and clocks come.
Chicks with bricks and blocks and clocks come.
Look, sir, Mr. Knoxer.
Look, sir, Mr. Knoxer.
Let's do tricks with blicks and blocks, sir.
Let's do tricks with bricks and blocks, sir.
We'll find something new to do.
We'll find something new to do.
Here is lots of new blue goo.
Here is lots of new blue glue.
Bendy, bendy, bim de broom.
Bendy, bendy, bend the broom.
Bend a broom and zoom, zoom, zoom.
Bend the broom and zoom, zoom, zoom.
All right, woo! We're warmed up. We're warmed up. We're warmed up. We're warmed up.
Oh,
Great.
yeah.
You can have a. We can all have a seat now. We can all have a seat. Hey, you're standing. So, really quickly, a really quick history of hip hop. And what we're going to do today is rap. But hip hop is an art form that may have been around. You can argue it's been around for so long that we've been creating art, that we've been moving our bodies, that people have been telling stories using rhythm. But coalesced in the way that we know it in the 60s and 70s in the Bronx in New York, where poor communities, poor black and brown communities who had been overlooked for years and years, came together and created this art form that to one, show people that they were, to liberate themselves, to be creative, and to give themselves their life back, and give themselves humanity where it had not been given to them. It had not been given to them. So there are four main pillars of hip hop. There's graffiti, there's breaking, moving the body, there's DJing, and then there's rapping, MCing, which we're going to do today. And then there's sometimes a fifth element known as knowledge that is brought in. But hip hop is an art form that started in the Bronx, and you now can find it all over the world. All over the world, that people are using this art form to really liberate themselves and to create in really powerful, wholesome ways. So what I wanted to give you that because I think so much of what we're talking about in terms of restoring justice, in terms of restoring harmony, I think we haven't used this word too much, but liberating ourselves, liberating people who've going through the prison system, liberating the police officers, liberating, everyone, requires us to, I think, create and be creative together. So I think what better way to do that than for all of us to make a hip-hop song, rap song, in this moment, and just open us up a little bit. Caselli's writing down, we have it already. Going back to this poster that we used earlier, just to talk to you a little bit about our process in terms of writing. You want to explain the 3 R's?
Sure. Yeah. So we talked earlier about our restorative justice analysis, right? So thinking about how can we get back to wholeness with any issue. And that kind of gives us clarity on the subject, but then how do you turn that understanding of a subject into some form of art, right? And I would like to think this would work for pretty much any medium, whether it be painting or dance or theater, but our particular medium will be music and rap in particular. So we think about the 3 R's, we call them: respond, retell, or reimagine. So taking a subject that you've looked at and responding to it, how do you feel about it? Retelling it, what have you observed? What's happening what is your sense of what's happening? Or reimagining, how can we completely transform this situation? What will it look like in an ideal setting? So taking those to interact with the subject that you're trying to create something about.
You know, hip-hop became famous because of Hamilton. The show that's on Broadway is done in hip-hop. And
Yeah.
that's how the public got to know about it.
Well, so-
So that's so yes, Lin Manuel.
Yeah.
Definitely, people are now very much aware of hip hop because of Hamilton. For sure. Yes,
Absolutely.
definitely. And he was influenced by hip hop artists who were influenced by. So it's definitely coming up in mainstream culture in a very powerful way that I think. Yeah, it's once again speaks to its power to liberate. Lots of people are drawn to that. You can't buy tickets for
5 years.
for 5 years or something. So yes, and he used this art form to really talk about some very deep and important issues. So yeah,
Doing some responding and retelling
Yeah,
of
yeah.
history, right?
Yes.
And reimagining.
Yeah.
So all at once. Yeah, it is something, it's been in the mainstream in different ways and in a lot of capacities, whether on MTV or on different radio stations. It's been, it's been moving through different currents, many mainstream currents, for a long time, and been a really powerful medium for people to express themselves for a long time. So it's wonderful that Hamilton is continuing to bring it to new audiences and new ears with a new understanding. So that's beautiful. So again, we've got our restorative justice analysis to help us interact with an issue. We've got respond, retell, reimagine, our 3 R's. And then the only thing left we need to really make a song
is
together.
to internalize a rhythm. And we love to use a nursery rhyme to get you all to think about rhyme structure, to think about cadence, to think about the number of syllables you want to put into your song. And our nursery rhyme that we like to use is Jack be nimble, Jack be quick, Jack jumped over a candlestick. But we like it, it's beautiful, it's laid up, the framework for making a nice, beautiful song is laid out in that nursery rhyme. But we want to add a little swag to it. So Brian, or Caselli's going to give us a beat, and we're just going to say that nursery rhyme with a little swag, like Jack be nimble, Jack be quick, Jack jumped over a candlestick. Jack be nimble, Jack be quick, Jack jumped over a candlestick. Jack be nimble, Jack be quick, Jack jumped over a candlestick. One more time. Jack be nimble, Jack be quick, Jack jumped over a candlestick. Beautiful, beautiful. So that is a wonderful nursery rhyme scheme to use when you're making your song up. That it has, you can write it out and look at the number of syllables that are in it. The rhyme scheme is beautiful, and just to internalize that as you're writing a song, I think has been helpful for us and for people here too when we did this. But we wanted to give that to you when thinking about creating lyrics. Now you can certainly diverge from that rhyme scheme. You should feel free and open to make all sorts of different rhymes. But that's a beautiful one to work with if you're struggling to really get into the hip hop mode, which may or may not be. You all might just be ready to dive in.
Feeling it. Right, we got Joyce over here that's already rocking and rolling with it. So, yeah. So we wanted to break into groups now. Let's see, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8,
Paper?
15. And would you two like to be involved too?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So maybe should we do 3 groups of 5?
Yeah.
Groups of 3.
When did they
Let's
start?
do five groups of 3. We'll do 5 groups of 3. We're gonna pass around paper and pens or pencils.
Mm-hmm.
and really just think about everything we talked about today. Think about if you want to respond, retell, or reimagine. So maybe something new you learned about the prison system, or something that you're really passionate about that you want to make people aware of. But you're working in tandem, so you're working in a group.
You might be retelling, you might be pulling all the different facets together. You might be pulling in the education system, pulling in economics. How does it all flow together? And again, we're going to take about 20 minutes, so we just want you to come up with a little verse. We're not expecting masterpieces, this is just a starting point, and hopefully we'll inspire you to, and you feel empowered to keep creating after these 20 minutes are over, and so on and so forth. And then you'll have these tools to work with. But yeah, so breaking the trees, maybe I'll count.
There's some words that
With one
when there are no others.
There will be. Save it for
That's what you need to do. We will have.
That's good. Not so good. Want to join us?
Good, because good, could rhymes with good, so something ending in could.
We only need one more verse. I thought we only needed to do one.
Two, you're in the middle.
How
Great.
much you coming up with?
Yeah, however much to, yeah.
How many verses do we have? This is here, there,
Getting into some of those details. So this is
I bought your book.
Jim can read.
Well, it's a powerful.
Can you read it?
No.
So, we're gonna now make a song together that's never existed before. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna go around, we're gonna create in hip hop called a cypher session where we'll create a big circle and we'll each go through sharing our rap verse. And then after every group shares, after each group shares, we'll sing together the chorus, which goes like, chorus goes, let them in, we'll never be whole till we let them in, restore the peace, meet people's needs and restore the peace. So we'll sing that after every single group goes to really lift up the words that each group shares with everyone. So, is there any group that wants to start the cypher session?
We're ready.
We'll start with this group over here. And Ruth, you want to move over here? We'll create a big circle.
We have to pound on the table.
And again, try and feel the beat in your body in some way,
Yeah.
whether it's just nodding your head, tapping your fingers, tapping a foot, or even standing up, clapping, whatever you feel called to do.
I do better if I stand up.
Any way you like.
Are you starting?
I think we're starting over
I beg
here.
your pardon, I thought some.
Oh,
beg
no
your pardon.
problem.
No, all
And
good.
then maybe should we go around the circle this way, or
Okay.
almost circle this way?
Charlie's ready to start.
Alright, so you guys will start, and then you ladies, and then you guys, we'll keep going around.
Great.
Okay.
And we're going to start by singing the chorus together
Okay.
twice. All right? We'll sing the chorus together twice, and then we'll start the show.
And then another chorus.
Oh, okay, I wanted to read it.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Ready?
1, 2, 3, 4. Let them in. Let them in.
will never be whole till we let them in. Restore the peace, restore the peace. Meet people's needs and restore the peace. Let them in, let them in. We'll never be whole till we let them in. Restore the peace, restore the peace. Meet people's needs and restore the peace.
Isn't life is not so good? Want to leave now, wish I could. Leave my kids.
Love my wife.
Love my
God.
Have a life.
So let them in. We'll never be whole till we let them in. That was great. Restore the peace. Restore the peace. Meet people's needs and restore the peace.
Here the darkness goes away, where love and trust comes to play.
Education is the trick. We all know it can't be quit. Feed the brain, that's the rule. Stay in school, it can be cool.
Love to learn, love to shine, be your best, that's not a crime.
Yes! Here we go with the chorus. Let them in, let them in. We'll never be whole till we let them in. Restore the peace, restore the peace. Meet people's needs and restore the peace.
If you don't have learned it from the very beginning, how can you ever get ahead? Daddy's in prison, hardly even knew him. Mother's worked 2 jobs, always tired. Daddy comes home and finally gets a job. Then our family gets close and loving again.
Let them in, let them in. We'll never be whole till we let them in. Restore the peace, restore the peace. Meet people's needs and restore the peace.
Rhoda walked into school one day. Here is what she had to say. Life is beautiful, life is good. Let's start changing the neighborhood. What to do, what to say, save it for another day. No, not me, no, not you. Here is what we all have to do. Care about the other guy. Time to tell hate goodbye. Let us follow the golden rule. Let it all begin in school.
Restore the peace, restore the peace. Meet people's needs and restore the peace.
Let them in.
My kids on the street, white cops on the beat, white teachers in school, black children break rules.
What can I do? What can we do to make you see they're just like me? There are no us, there are no them. When there are no others, we'll all be free. We have to read together. Can't read. What you do understand, you will not fear. What you do not fear, you will not destroy.
Here we go with the chorus. Let them in, let them in. We'll never be whole till we let them in. Restore the peace, restore the peace. Meet people's needs and restore. One more time, let them in, let them in. We'll never be whole till we let them in. Restore the peace, restore the peace. Meet people's needs. This time with our energy. Let them in, let them in. We'll never be whole till we let them in. Restore the peace, restore the peace. Meet people's needs and restore the peace. Let them in, let them in. We'll never be whole till we let them in. Restore the peace, restore the peace. Meet people's needs and restore the peace. Let them in.
That was beautiful.
Wow. You just made my day, times 10. Wow.
We need to get them all together.
Wow.
This is your
I
sign it.
want everybody.
Oh, you wanna give our attention?
Speech. Hold it.
Friends?
Ladies, can you wait 1 second?
I want to acknowledge the work that Liz Starkin did to get us all together and to get this trip back.
Well, it is always good, but I need to say this came from the Peace Committee, which is now part of the Peace and Social Justice Committee.
Right.
Right.
We have that committee.
photographers. They're doing a good job.
Yeah.
They're coming for your birthday.
Huh?
I hired them for your birthday.
Oh, boy. You
I'm curious, now, you heard of some of our stories, and we heard a little bit about your stories. You grew up in West Philly,
I grew up in West Philly, this is true.
and
I
you
grew up, then went on to college and got my master's in poetry and then came back to the area. So, and then met Caselli at one point in West Philadelphia, and we started making music together because we found out we were both,
3 years now.
yeah, we were both passionate about a lot of the same things. And so have done, different kind of work, have done some prison reform work. I currently work at Friends Central School during the day. So, and this is a real passion of ours. So it's just really,
Oh,
great.
wow. You carry that passion to your students, so that's where now it needs to be, start. I mean,
You've got a great handwriting.
Very clear.
Working on it.
Gisela, tell us more about you.
Oh, well, so I've been in Philly for about 5 years, and I actually moved out to be with my partner, Jenny. I was living in Wisconsin prior to that, and I'm actually a kindergarten teacher by day. And,
Oh, that's tough.
and,
Oh,
no, it's
wonderful.
it's a wonderful challenge, you know. Yeah, so that's, and I love making music with this guy. That's actually was going to move back to Chicago with my partner to be closer to my family, and then of course this guy comes into my life, and I'm like, this is my highest calling. I gotta, so so that's why I'm in Philly, to make this music and to get to do what I feel is my highest calling.
Have you recorded any of your music? I mean, you have?
Oh yeah,
I
yeah.
have a disc.
We have an album, and we have a bunch of other stuff online that we haven't made into an album yet. But yeah, we even have some CDs here.
Wow.
Yeah.
Have you gone to any other retirement communities?
We have not yet, but we would
No,
love.
mainly like universities and middle schools and a few different organizations.
Well, we're on the cutting edge.
Yeah.
You guys are.
We really are.
This is-
It
Need
surprises me how well you led this into this rap and how well everyone did.
That was good, wasn't
It was so natural, you know?
It's in you.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
it? Well, Joyce, you were amazing with your rap. That was
Yeah,
good.
that was good. Yes.
Remarkable.
That was good.
It was fun.
We hope this is just the beginning, that you feel really empowered to create. You did this in 15 minutes. You came up with such profound things. You know, if you turn on the radio right now, what are the chances you're going to hear a song that's dealing with these issues with such eloquence?
Mm-hmm.
So I mean,
Because we're old and experienced.
well then let the wisdom flow and
Let it roll.
shine it on others. You know, so it's a beautiful thing.
Thank you.
Thank you all for sharing.
Give yourselves another round of applause.
Drive carefully.
Yeah.
And let's collect the,
Do you want this?